Just took a bit longer to find my way home. Chapter 10. Is it better this way? It had been a week since Sonic had first found himself in Tom and Maddie's home. With the work week upon them again, they simply switched him around, working around their busy schedules. It was a lot, but they didn't want to leave the teen home alone. But they managed to make it work, and Sonic didn't seem to mind. He managed to make his own fun wherever he could. But the problem both Maddie and Tom were beginning to realize with their guest was, despite talking and engaging in conversations with him, they still felt like they didn't really know their guest, as if something was missing. And despite Sonic being a professional chatterbox, he didn't like to talk about his past, didn't like to talk about anything that involved his home planet, where he had lived before, ending up here, or his previous guardian. It was concerning for both Maddie and Tom.
I'm just worried.
Tom sighed and glanced into the living room where Sonic was busy watching TV. He shook his head.
I know we're not his parents or anything, but
It's not like it's wrong to feel concerned about him. I'm worried too. The problem is whether he wants to open up or not. And that's his choice.
Maddie said as she continued to clean up from dinner. Tom nodded. She was right. And so, they both continued to wait and give the hedgehog the space he needed. But they weren't the only ones in the house stressing out. Sonic had been feeling very jumpy these past few days. Robotnik hadn't found him yet, and while that was a good thing, it only put him more on edge. He was also worried he was overstaying his welcome. As much as he loved Tom and Maddie, he didn't want to be an annoyance or a hindrance. He wasn't stupid. He knew it was hard for the two of them trying to juggle him and their jobs all at the same time. He also wanted to run. He hadn't run in a while, and he had all this pent-up energy that he wanted to release. But any fast running was a no-go. He felt like he was trapped in a way. He kicked his legs and bounced in place on the couch. He couldn't even focus on the movie in front of him. He wanted to run. He wanted to get out. Even when he was winning, he was still losing. He might be with Donald and Pretzel Lady, and he might not be Robotnik's test subject, and he might not be alone, but he was confined to hiding. He was stuck in a huge city. It wasn't Green Hills. It wasn't home. But he couldn't really complain. It was certainly better than before.
You okay, buddy?
Tom asked from the kitchen. Sonic turned around to face the man and smiled.
Giddy up?
Are you sure? You're moving around a bit.
I'm sure. Everything's fine.
He wanted to run, so he let out a quiet sigh and forced his body to be still. He tried to forget about the energy coursing through him, tried to ignore the need to move. It was getting harder and harder to ignore. Sooner or later, his secrets were bound to come out.
Hey Sonic, grab your shoes.
Tom abruptly called from the kitchen. Sonic peeked into the other room where the man was putting up a dish towel.
Are we going somewhere?
Yeah, but it's a surprise. Come on.
Sonic wasn't going to turn down a surprise. He grabbed the remote and turned off the TV. He grabbed his shoes from his bedroom and met back up with Tom in the living room. He handed the hedgehog his hoodie, which had basically become the kid's with how often he wore it. Tom had Ozzy on a leash.
See you guys later.
They waved goodbye and left the house with Ozzy. Sonic sucked in a deep breath and let the cool night air settle in his lungs. It felt nice. He pulled his hoodie up, hoping to cover up himself as much as possible. He skipped next to Tom, unable to simply walk.
So, we just gonna walk Ozzy?
Nope.
Where else are we going then?
If I told you, it would ruin the excitement.
Come on, Tom. It can't be that exciting.
You'll have to wait and see for yourself.
And they continued to walk. Sonic went from skipping to jogging ahead before going back to match with Tom's pace. Bored with that, he soon began to come up with his own game of trying to weave his way through the man's legs without tripping up the both of them. Sonic smirked as he lined up his move. He ran forward, prepared to run straight through, but he was caught off guard as Tom suddenly caught him in his arms. Sonic couldn't help the surprised yet excited squeal of laughter that left him as Tom grabbed him. Tom left as well, careful of both the leash and the teen in his hold. Tom placed Sonic on her shoulders. Sonic hesitated before relaxing and leaning against the man's head. It felt nice, like he had seen a few fathers do with their kids back in Green Hills. A warm feeling swelled in his chest at the thought, but with that warm feeling came a tight knot. Tom wasn't his dad. He was only letting him stay for a while.
Hey, we made it.
Sonic perked up, not having realized that Tom had slowed. Sonic looked around and his eyes widened. Tom let Ozzy off his leash and the dog eagerly trotted forward, his tongue hanging from his mouth. The place was empty, yet street lamps lit up the area. There weren't many people out and about, meaning he wouldn't have to worry so hard about staying hidden.
Well, do you want to get down?
Sonic slowly nodded.
Why?
Well, I figured you would want to get rid of all that energy you have. What better place than to do it here?
Sonic felt touched by the sentiment.
What are you waiting for? Go on.
The man said, helping Sonic get down. Sonic looked at the park and then back at the cop.
Thank you.
Of course. I'll be sitting over there if you need me.
Tom said, pointing to a nearby vacant bench. Sonic nodded and eagerly jogged over to the slide. Green Hills didn't have a huge playground or park like this. Sonic wanted to do everything, so he did. He went from climbing the monkey bars to going down the slide a few times to then going on the swings. He couldn't help the childish glee that filled him. He missed out on a lot of this growing up. For the first time in a long time, he felt like he could finally truly be a kid again. Tom got up from his spot on the bench to help push him on the swing, and that same warm feeling filled his chest, and that same tightness soon followed. But he ignored it. At least here and now, he could pretend everything was alright as Tom pushed him and Ozzy lumbered around the playground, exploring the area.
Thanks for bringing me out here.
Tom pushed him forward again.
No problem. You having fun?
The most fun.
Sonic replied with a wide grin. Just this once, maybe just this once, he could pretend that this warm feeling would last forever, that everything would be fine, that nothing would go wrong. Just him and Donut Lord. Sparks of blue came off of his body in bolts of lightning. It hurt. It had never hurt before. His arms were held up in surrender. His face was wet. He didn't know why. But as the haze around his mind began to clear, he realized that the dampness of his face was from the tears pouring from his eyes. He was crying. And in front of him were Tom and Maddie. They looked scared. They were scared of him.
Stand back. Don't come any closer.
Wait, please. I didn't mean to hurt you guys.
Sonic begged. He didn't know what had happened to get to this point, but it didn't matter because one thing was very clear. They were going to throw him out.
But that's all you ever do, Sonic. You hurt everyone.
It felt as if her words were physical blows to his body. Sonic took a step back, and then another. He bumped into something, or rather, someone.
I found you, rodent.
Robotnik declared. He grabbed Sonic by his neck and slammed him against a familiar metal table.
No, wait, where's Tom and Maddie?
They've abandoned you, rodent. And who wouldn't? You just continue to cause trouble. And look at how much trouble you caused me. I told you the longer you stay hidden, the longer you'll remain under my scalpel.
Clamps of metal wrapped around his ankles and wrists. He fought hard against them, but it was futile. He was trapped.
And now, you are mine once more.
No, please, not again.
He cried and begged, but his cries went unheard as a familiar scalpel, already stained red with his blood, gleamed in the light. The hum of machinery from up above only caused his already racing heart to pick up speed. Needles and sharp objects galore filled his field of vision.
Don't feel so blue, hedgehog. You never belonged there anyway.
And the doctor stabbed the scalpel into his chest. Sonic lunged forward, ripping the bed sheets off of him, trying to breathe as the nightmare slowly faded. Tears rolled down his cheeks. He couldn't breathe. He needed to calm down. If he didn't, it would only cause blue lightning to jump off of his body in bolts and lead the doctor right to him.
You're okay, Sonic. Come on, breathe.
He tried to tell himself, But his words kept on getting stuck in his throat. His breath hissed in the middle of every sentence. He could barely understand his garbled words of reassurance as his panic didn't seem to be going away.
It wasn't real.
He mumbled and buried his face into his hands. He couldn't stop thinking about those words. He never belonged. He always caused trouble. He was dangerous. Why should Tom and Maggie keep him here when his mere presence could very well get them killed? He wants to be selfish. He wants to stay with them forever. Here, he actually has that opportunity to play family, except that instead of being stuck on the outside like in Green Hills, he actually gets to feel those soft touches, hear that laughter, see their smiles up close, feel that love that he had been craving and missing for almost 11 years of his life. And these thoughts only caused more tears to run down his cheeks. He shakes his head. He can't be selfish. He just can't. He cares about these people. He loves them. He loves them too much. And when you love someone, you'll do anything to protect them. And that means he has to let them go. As soon as it's safe, as soon as he is sure the doctor has given up and won't try and find him, he'll leave to keep them safe. Sure, they might miss him, and he knows he will miss them with every fiber of his being, but they'll move on eventually. He'll have to back off, keep to himself, can't let himself get attached. Well, more attached than he already is, because the longer he does, the harder it will be eventually to say goodbye.